Welcome to another edition of the Be Better podcast. Here you will find inspiration to be better at your job, with others, and most importantly, with yourself. And you will, of course, hear new things, old things, and hopefully experience that moment of clarity that you've been waiting for. So listen on. My name is Ashman Martin, and with me today is Vanessa Goosen. She was the guest speaker at our annual Women's Breakfast, and more than 1,000 women were moved to silence and awe while she spoke. Of course, I have the honor to continue the conversation with her. Vanessa, you were former Miss South Africa semi-finalist and just 21 years old when you were arrested in Thailand in 1994 and sentenced to life in prison after unknowingly being used as a drug mule. As if the sentence and prison itself were not harsh enough, you were pregnant as well at the time. It is so easy to look at your story, through a lens of tragedy. But if you could introduce yourself today in your own words, who is Vanessa Goosen?
Vanessa Goosen is a motivational speaker. She's a person who has gone through a very dark, unexpected situation and not really knowing that she would be able to survive that situation. But what I've realized is if you're not put in a situation, then you won't really know how much power you possess, from within to be able to overcome a situation. And I think that's where most of us are giving up because of you don't know that the power and the willpower that you have to be able to conquer that situation. And that is what I found out. That situation has caused me to turn within. That is why I'm so passionate about having women conferences and dealing with women and starting with the healing process from within, because that is how it had to start with me. Healing from within, starting with the decision that you want to be healed. Because there's no way you can conquer a situation if you don't decide for yourself that I don't want to stay here. I want to get through and get out of the situation. There's something I've learned in prison. Never allow any kind of situation, to block you or stop you from not going through it. We're always afraid of going through it. But that's the way that when you go through it, to say that doesn't matter what I have to go through, but I'm going to come out on the other side.
Wow.
So I would say I'm a person that gives hope to people in their most dire circumstances where they actually don't see a way out, because I felt like I was in a very dark pit, and I was watching people coming to my funeral. Literally, I felt like it was such a struggle climbing out of that pit. But just to everybody and anybody out there, it doesn't matter what circumstances you find yourself in, you can get out of that situation only if you never, ever give up. And believe that you can.
Wow.
And that's where I found my willpower. And not only my own willpower, but that's where I found God.
Now, Vanessa, compared to you, most people, in the audience today live a very protected life. First, you were betrayed by people you knew. Then you were betrayed by a foreign system. You lost your life, had to give up your child and all your dreams. Describe the darkest day in prison.
My darkest day in prison when my pardon was rejected, because I had hope that I will get out of that place, and that took all my hope. That was hope for me to return back to South Africa. That was hope for me to be back with my family. That was hope for me that I will be back being reunited with my daughter. And when that pardon, the king of Thailand rejected my pardon after 5 years, even though so many influential people has written on my behalf, it really knocked the wind out of my sails. It threw me in such a dark pit that I lost hope. I gave up on life. I fell into a deep depression. I suffered from anxiety and panic attacks. I lost so much weight. I could not function properly. I really struggled. I struggled, like even to concentrate, to think by myself. I struggled. I could not even think or read by myself because it's like something was happening with my brain. I just couldn't function. I couldn't think properly. It was the most craziest time of my life. And my body, not only like my mental state was not okay, but also my physical. When the heart is sick, everything else is sick. Your mental state is not okay. Obviously, you'll get it in the physical as well. So my body really started beginning to shut down because I lost so much weight. I couldn't eat. I couldn't really walk a few steps. I would collapse. Like my whole mouth inside had blisters. I had blisters outside my mouth. And I couldn't understand. I perspired so much all over my body. And my clothes would get soaking wet. That's how hard my body was fighting. And I to the place where I could not even bathe myself. Somebody had to do that for me. Somebody had to pick me up and take me to the bathroom. I couldn't do that. I was completely depleted. Depression, anxiety completely depleted me. And because of all the anger and the hatred, and I had so much anger. I could never say I hate someone. But I could say that, not only hate, I could say I hate with every drop of blood in my body. And that was the most darkest time of my life. I didn't know if I would survive that or come through that. Because I literally gave up. I gave up hope. I was in the hospital. They had to put me on oxygen. I just couldn't. They even gave me some wrong medication that really caused also like some problems. Yeah, so that was my darkest moment.
I can't even fathom what it must have felt for you to have experienced that. But I'm going to ask you something that might be impossible, but were there any good days?
Of course there were, especially when you have God in your life. He gives you the strength and the ability to deal with your situation. There's days where you're down, there's days when you give up. And it doesn't mean that you are a Christian, that everything goes smoothly and you have faith all the time. No, there was times I know what the Bible say and I could not pray. I could not pray because I was just like, I don't even know how to pray. I don't even know what to say because sometimes it gets so much. But with God, there were those days where you have that faith, you have that hope, like, no, God, I know you're able, you're faithful, because He has revealed Himself to me in so many ways to show that He's with me, So we had days where we had laughter, we had jokes, we would do funny things. Like, for example, if somebody, because we were deprived of a lot of things, so when I would get a parcel and I have a chocolate, I don't share. I eat 1 block a day and I don't share. I don't share my chocolate. I would eat 1 block a day. I can't wait to get out in the morning from the room just to get to my locker so I can have 1 block of chocolate. And, it's like I count those chocolates and I know when the days are finished, that chocolate is going to be finished. And, the other inmates would ask me. I said, no, I'm not giving you my chocolate. I'm so sorry. I have so many days before this chocolate finish. So I would share with you when I get more than 1.
Vanessa, I want to find out from you, with all the betrayal and injustice that happened, you were just a young girl with a bright future. Why do you think this happened to you?
Because of some greedy people.
Now, after such a huge letdown, how did you convince yourself to trust people again? And was there a moment of clarity, forgiveness, or hope that became a turning point for you, Vanessa?
Oh, yeah. Forgiveness and trust. Okay, trust. When people have your trust, they can do anything with you. But trust, I had a problem with trust. I think I still struggle with trust. I really have a problem. When I came in, it was bad. It was really bad. I don't trust anybody. I double check everything. I go see if I have to do something legally. I go see 3 different lawyers to tell me if this contract is right. That's how I was afraid of my own decisions. I could not make a decision. I was too afraid. I have a friend, so he travels a lot, and he used to help me a lot. You know, when I would panic and I was like, I was afraid of my own, because I felt I got in the prison that because I didn't make a good decision. So I was afraid of my decisions. And one day he flew abroad, and I had to make a decision, and he wasn't around. I panicked. I had an anxiety attack. I didn't trust anybody. Everything I double checked. And it was bad because it affected my relationships as well. And, you know, it took some time for me to really work through that. I don't think I'm still at the place where I can say I can trust people completely, but I am not where I used to be. Oh, okay. That's for sure. And even one day when I spoke about the trust, this one lady came to me and she says, I'm so happy that I'm here because you know what? I'm supposed to take parcels over for somebody, and now that you share that, I don't want to do it. That was trust, but I'm still working on that one, but I'm much better from where I've come from. And then the second one, forgiveness. Okay, I hate it so much, and that's what caused my depression. And when I end up in that hospital and I really felt like giving up on life, no, I didn't. I did give up because I had so much anger, but because it felt like I was going to die. I felt like really I'm losing my life. You know, they say in psychology that depression is a silent killer. I felt like that. I felt like I'm going slowly. I'm losing it slowly, like, you know, I'm going. And when that was happening and when that lady spoke to me and told me that, Vanessa, you are actually a selfish person. You're laying here giving up on life. Don't think about your daughter. Don't think about your family. Don't think about your mother who's waiting for you. You just think about yourself and now you want to give up. That was my turning point where I realized I can't do this, you know. And then I went on my knees and I asked God to forgive me. And he says, I gave you a scripture, which was Jeremiah 29:11. I have a purpose and a plan for you, Vanessa, not to harm you, but to prosper you. You trusted in high profile people that you will go out of that place. But he said, I'm the highest of the highest. When I say yes, nobody can say no. And that's why I got it wrong. I trusted in people. And that's where I got, you know, I gave up on life. I got my discouragement. And then I asked God to forgive me. And then the scripture in Matthew, it says, if you don't forgive, I will not forgive you. Plain and simple. And I realized I was giving them power because I was still holding on to the anger. And that same anger was busy eating me and destroying me. Because anger will cripple your future. You won't be able to move forward.
That's true.
And that's when I realized I'm destroying myself. I'm hurting myself. They are going around sleeping nicely. They are eating nicely. They are enjoying life. I'm suffering. And then I'm in a prison, physical prison, and yet in another mental prison because of the anger. And then I realized I'm hurting myself. I didn't forgive for anybody. I forgave for myself. I was like, no, I need to survive. I need to get out of this place. And if I don't get up for myself, who will? And if I don't believe in myself, who's going to understand my struggle and my fear and my anxiety and this dark hole? I need to fight for my survival. I need to fight for myself, for my daughter, and for my family to get out of this place. And that was my turning point when I said to God, I hate so much. Help me to forgive because I don't know how.
So would you say, you know, when you love yourself, then you can love others as well first?
Yes, because you can't love yourself. How can you love someone else? If you don't have hope, how can you give hope to someone else?
Tell me, Vanessa, did you really believe that things would work out for you and your daughter?
In the beginning, no. But I had hope in God that I will get out of that place because he say, I have a purpose and a plan for you, not to harm you, but to prosper you. When I open the gate, no man can shut it. That gave me hope and belief. I have never hold on to the word of the Bible like I hold on to it there, that it became alive to me.
It's 2025, you know. I want to know, how does your life look now? And what does the future hold for Vanessa?
I had to make a decision 2 years ago. My mom is living in the Eastern Cape. And, she lived by herself and she could help herself and do her own things. Very strong lady, very, very strong. 2 years ago, she started having problems with her leg. And then she couldn't move and she was on a wheelchair. She's confined to a wheelchair. She was not taken care of to the best of the ability that I would like her to be taken care of. So I had to make a decision to go and take care of my mom. I had to give up some things, which I didn't mind. But what caused me really to do that is to the scripture where God says, you need to honor your parents, right? You need to take care of them. Then you will have a long, good life. And I honored that scripture. So, not that, sometimes you have a parent and you have many children, but not all the children take care of the parent the way, you understand what I'm saying? Like all the children wouldn't take care. Everybody has their own lives, But I made that decision. So I went down to the Eastern Cape and I'm taking care of my mom. It has not been easy in the beginning, being confined to a wheelchair. It was tough because I have a Monday to Friday job that I'm working, and then I have my mom, and then I travel a lot as well. I minister a lot. I've traveled to Namibia, to a lot, Botswana, Zimbabwe, a lot of countries over and overseas as well, to minister the gospel as well, besides, going into schools and all that. Where I'm at right now, I've learned to enjoy my mother for the years that the Lord has given with me, with her.
Vanessa, it's almost time for me to love and leave you. But if you could go back into time and talk to the younger version of yourself, that young lady in prison, what is the one thing that, you would want to tell her?
What I would say to a young person, when you're young, you think you know everything. You have all the answers, You don't. You don't have experience. How can you know everything? Learn to have a teachable spirit. Be teachable and not prideful and arrogant.
Sure.
Learn from the masters. These elderly people have a lot of wisdom. I like to listen to them. You don't know everything as a young person. So be open for advice. The Bible says if you're surrounded by many advisors, there's more success. You learn so much. Don't have a teachable spirit. Never arrive. We never arrive. Always be open to learn. Don't be a person to say that I know everything. Nobody can teach me nothing. That's a lie.
Vanessa, on that note, thank you so much for your time and wisdom and for being so vulnerable in sharing your story today. We could sit here and talk for hours, but luckily, you've also written a book for those who want to know more about your story. How can listeners find out about your book and what you're currently busy with?
Okay, my book is that it's currently, I'm busy now to be able, because even I have other books that have to come out with another publisher and things like that. So I'm just in the process of that. So the book is not available at the particular time, but it will be. What I have at the moment, because this morning I did not share, there's so many facets to my experience. Like, for example, I had people that came to me this morning that asked me that they would like to know how did I find God, how that experience, they want to know about that. Then they asked me the experience about, my daughter in the prison. And I said to them, at the moment, I have a virtual DVD. Which they can get from me, because I use that money to help the elderly. I feel elderly people need love, especially those who don't have children that's there for them. So, to buy them things and just be there. And also for children, where we would give things and help them in toiletries and stuff like that. So that goes towards that. Okay, so they can contact me at info@vgse.co.za. info@vgse.co.za. I also do motivational speaking. I've spoken at a lot of different companies, Clover, Anglo American, all of them, and I also do human camps. Which I have done quite a few camps. I also do speak at schools as well. And I do women conferences, like the one this morning. I have spoken to a lot of thousands of people, which God has just opened. I've spoken in stadium as well. That God has opened that platforms for me as well. I do inner healing workshops because I feel that everything starts from within. That's how I know through my experience. I had to get rid of my attitude. I had to get rid of, that stubbornness, and also I had to get rid of, the unforgiveness and the hatred and the anger. Otherwise, I won't be the person who I am today. I'm free. I have peace. I am really enjoying what God has given me.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, for your story and sharing all of these moments with us and for your wisdom. We're just wishing you all the best, and hopefully I get to chat to you soon again.
Thank you so much for this interview. I really appreciate it. And to all the listeners out there, I hope this was beneficial, and never allow shame to stop you from sharing your story. You might help someone else. Thank you, and God bless.